who am I to judge, right? I'm not. It's interesting because when you travel, you're super open-minded, but again, you're also closed-minded because you've just seen so much. And yeah, and it's like I don't want to be here judging people, but from my experience, after traveling and meeting so many different people, you develop this skill of being able to read people, and I think that's a skill that most people don't really learn until it's too late. Look, most of your happiness and most of your pain comes from in your life will come from other human beings, period. Okay, most of your misery, most of your happiness will come from other people throughout your entire life. So your ability to read people, to know to avoid certain characters, you know, and keep other people, trustworthy people, close, is going to serve you. So that's like a rule of thumb I try to live by. So in other words, you need to learn to read people, to know if they're narcissistic psychopaths, or if they have exploitative traits, if they, right? So that's something I've learned. Now that also means learning how to read people who are, I don't want to say mentally ill, but people who just have who have had a lot of trauma and mental health issues, right? What I've learned is a lot of these people you meet while traveling have had a lot of trauma, and the ones, in my experience at least, right, who have had the most trauma are the ones who broadcast certain signs, and unfortunately those signs happen to be, you know, yeah. So obviously I try not to like come to conclusions when I meet someone, but most of the time, like exceptions don't disprove the rule. Okay, sure, there might be exceptions to every rule, but in a general rule of thumb. So in economics, there's this thing called thin and thick markets, right? You want to always put yourself in a thick market, right? Because life is short. Okay, if you're looking for a wife, sure, chances are, out of all the strippers in the world, there might be a handful of women who are wife material. But life is too short to start looking for a wife in a room full of strippers, in a world full of strippers. Like, I'm not gonna, right? And the same thing applies. You want to put yourself in thick markets. So yeah. So when it comes to like traveling and meeting people, when I meet someone and I notice a couple things which are reoccurring patterns in, you know, people who have mental health issues, or people who have had so much trauma, or people who always say like their nervous system is this and that, and it's like they're super anxious all of the time. It's like you realize that those people, unfortunately, even though it breaks my heart, because I know some people who personally I wish, here's another thing. This is interesting, because this is like, I speak to my friends a lot about this concept. A lot of the time I've learned that everyone has a ceiling, okay? And it's not their fault. I have a ceiling, you have a ceiling. And when it comes to traveling and meeting people, I try to figure out, okay, where's this person's ceiling? Meaning, I don't want to set myself up I don't want to have expectations, and then I don't want to set myself up for those expectations, right? So in my experience, the people who have those mental health issues, or who are super anxious, or had so much trauma, or they always talk about their nervous system needs to be regulated and this and that, even though it breaks my heart that I wanted more out of this relationship, right? Whether it be platonic, friendships, romantic, whatever it is, you just realize that these people have ceilings, and it's not their fault. And you just need to accept it for what it is, and move on. Like, I just acknowledge, okay, that's where their ceiling is. And unfortunately, like, if someone doesn't have a regulated nervous system, Well, it's hard. Like you can only love them so much, and they can only be so much of a friend, right? Because in my experience, like the people with those issues, or what would you say, the people with the people who are like that, the second shit gets hard, they bail, they're out, they're done. Like they're pretty much there only when it suits them, or only when times get tough, they're gone. Which is, it is what it is. So